Archaeologists and scientists often work together to uncover the story behind an ancient find. An archaeologist's job is to determine when or where an object was created, and they're very good at it. But that still doesn't mean they understand everything about it. The bigger questions, like what it was used for or how it was made, are often much harder to answer. In situations like these, they turn to scientists for help, but sometimes even they come up empty-handed. And when neither side can explain it, what remains is an archaeological mystery that experts still struggle to explain. And in this video, you're about to see some of the most fascinating ones. So, let's start off with number 15. The ancient alien mystery. Not every archaeological story earns immediate acceptance, and this one has divided opinion from the very beginning. During 2018, a group of artifact hunters working in the highlands of Jalisco, Mexico, announced the discovery of unusual carved stones unlike anything they had encountered before. Their surfaces carried images that many people interpreted as strange beings, spacecraft, celestial symbols, and scenes resembling stories about humanity's origins. One carving appears to show a figure seated inside a craft, while another depicts small human-like forms emerging from a large opening. According to those involved, recovering the objects required digging beneath compact soil, heavy tree roots, and layers of rock, rather than simply collecting them from the surface. Later examinations reportedly detected organic residue dated between roughly 8,500 and 9,500 years ago, adding another layer to the controversy. Some stones even connect together like matching pieces of a larger scene. Whether they represent genuine ancient artifacts or an elaborate modern fabrication remains fiercely disputed today. Number 14. Tungsten stone discs. Back in 2015, workers excavating near Volgograd in southern Russia pulled several enormous stone discs from the ground without realizing they were about to spark years of debate. At first, they looked like unusually round boulders, nothing more. But once researchers examined them more carefully, the questions started piling up. Reports claim the discs contained unusually high concentrations of tungsten, one of the hardest and densest metals known, famous for the extreme temperatures required to shape it. That discovery immediately caught people's attention because no ancient mining or metalworking activity has ever been confirmed anywhere nearby. The discs themselves also appeared surprisingly symmetrical, making them difficult to dismiss as ordinary rock formations. Before long, theories spread everywhere. UFO enthusiasts called them pieces of crashed spacecraft, while others suggested forgotten engineering or simply an unusual geological process that has not been fully understood. None of those explanations has ever been proven. Even today, the discs remain one of those finds that sits awkwardly between accepted science, unanswered questions, and infinite speculation. Number 13. The ancient Meroitic tablets. Human history has preserved many voices, but some of them remain frustratingly out of reach. They were written down, carved into stone, and protected for centuries, but the language itself refuses to surrender its meaning. That is the mystery surrounding the inscribed tablets found at Sudan's vast Sedanga necropolis during excavations in 2017. Their carefully carved symbols belong to Meroitic, the earliest known written language of the Sahara, though scholars have managed to understand only fragments of it. The cemetery itself covers more than 2.5 million square feet and contains around 80 brick pyramids built by the ancient kingdoms of Napata and Meroe roughly 27 centuries ago. These inscriptions almost certainly recorded the identities, prayers, or memories of people laid to rest there. Researchers can recognize certain royal names and trace influences from Egyptian hieroglyphics, but the larger message remains stubbornly silent. After years of study, those forgotten voices still stand just beyond reach, waiting for someone to finally understand what they have been saying all along. Number 12. the giant skeleton of Krabbi Cave back in 2020. Photos claiming to show the skeleton of a 16-foot-tall human spread across the internet almost overnight. According to the story, the remains had been found inside Krabbi Cave in Thailand beside the bones of a giant serpent. For many people, the claim seemed to breathe life into the ancient legends of the Nagas, the powerful serpent beings woven through Thai tradition and Hindu mythology. It sounded like the kind of discovery that could turn history upside down. Unfortunately, the evidence tells a different story. No respected archaeological team ever announced such a find, no scientific report was published, and no museum accepted the remains for study. The skeleton itself also raised immediate doubts. Its bones appeared unnaturally complete and unusually clean, something genuine ancient burials rarely preserve after thousands of years inside an exposed cave. Even so, the story refuses to disappear, proving that sometimes a fascinating legend can travel much farther than the facts ever manage to reach. Number 11. Orkney Stone people usually picture history changing because of grand temples, royal tombs, or treasures made of gold. The funny thing is, that isn't always how it happens. Sometimes the biggest surprise comes from an ordinary object that spent thousands of years doing nothing more than helping someone prepare a meal. That was the case with a weathered quernstone uncovered by chance near St. Ola on Scotland's Orkney Islands. Lying beside it were broken pots, flint arrowheads, and stone tools, all pointing to something far more important than the stone itself. They pointed to people who had settled there and built a life. Before this discovery, Skara Brae was believed to be the oldest known settlement on Orkney. Instead, this quiet little find pushed that history back by almost 500 years. The shallow hollow worn into its surface was carved by countless hands grinding grain day after day. It may not look impressive, but few stones have managed to rewrite such an important chapter of Scotland's ancient past. Number 10. The Great Seal of the United States archaeological discoveries usually fit somewhere within the story of the place where they are uncovered. This tiny object refused to do that. During excavations at Zerzevan Castle in Turkey in the summer of 2021, researchers expected Roman military remains and artifacts connected with the fortress's long history. Instead, they found a small metal seal bearing the Great Seal of the U.S. The discovery immediately raised questions because the surrounding archaeological layer belonged to a period 2,000 years old, while the emblem itself dates to 1782. Its familiar eagle, 13 stars, and the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, were all clearly preserved. No historical record connects the young United States with this remote frontier fortress, leaving experts without a good explanation. The simplest possibility is that someone buried the seal during a much later visit, accidentally or deliberately. But no evidence confirms exactly when or why that happened. Number 9. The Meidum Pyramid of Egypt. Most people think of Egypt and immediately picture the Great Pyramid of Giza. Yet scattered across the desert are dozens of lesser-known pyramids, each carrying stories that rarely make the history books. One of them is the Meidum Pyramid, a partially collapsed monument believed to be more than 600 years old and widely associated with the reign of Pharaoh Sneferu. In February 2009, archaeologists made a discovery there that nobody expected. Hidden inside a tomb at the foot of the pyramid lay the skeleton of a girl estimated to have been around 13 years old. She had been buried in a tightly crouched position, but almost nothing accompanied her. There were no inscriptions, no jewelry, and no objects that could reveal her identity. What makes the discovery even stranger is that no other human burials have ever been confirmed inside or immediately around the pyramid itself. Was she connected to Sneferu's royal family, or simply someone whose story disappeared before history had the chance to remember her? Number 8. The metal rod inside stone. Most ancient discoveries look exactly the way you would expect them to look. Worn pottery, weathered bones, broken tools. Then an object comes along that seems to belong in a modern workshop instead of deep inside a mountain. That was the reaction after Zilin Wang discovered a black stone in China's Mazong Mountains containing what appeared to be a metal rod passing straight through it. The object immediately caught attention because the exposed section looked surprisingly manufactured. Fine spiral grooves wrapped around the shaft, giving it the appearance of a threaded bolt rather than an ordinary piece of metal. That detail sparked endless debate. If the surrounding rock truly formed naturally around it, the rod would have needed to remain there for an immense span of time. But its appearance suggests something much more recent. Some geologists argue unusual mineral processes may have produced the effect naturally, while others believe the object deserves far closer examination. So, until thorough scientific testing settles the question, its true origin remains frustratingly uncertain. Number 7. Mushroom stones of Guatemala. For well over a century, archaeologists working across Guatemala have continued uncovering curious stone carvings unlike almost anything else from the ancient Americas. Known today as mushroom stones, these sculptures also appear occasionally in parts of southern Mexico, yet nobody has managed to explain their true purpose with complete confidence. Their shape naturally draws attention because many resemble mushrooms rising from thick stems. One interpretation links them with sacred rituals involving hallucinogenic mushrooms, substances known to have played an important role in the spiritual traditions of several ancient Mesoamerican cultures. Another view points in a different direction, suggesting the carvings symbolized fertility and were used during ceremonies connected with birth, renewal, or the cycle of life. Both ideas remain possible because neither has been supported by decisive evidence. Historical records show that the Aztecs later described psilocybin mushrooms as the flesh of the gods, adding another intriguing layer to the debate. So, what do they actually represent? Number 6. Our Lady of Akita statue. Not every mystery begins inside an ancient temple or beneath the ground. Sometimes it starts with something as ordinary as a wooden statue standing quietly inside a small convent. That is exactly what happened in Akita, Japan, where a figure of the Virgin Mary, carved during the 1960s by a Buddhist woodworker, became the focus of worldwide attention. Over the years, witnesses reported seeing the statue weep, sweat, and even bleed. Some believers also claimed remarkable healings followed prayers offered before it, including recoveries from deafness and serious illness. The events attracted enough attention that church authorities carried out lengthy investigations rather than dismissing the reports outright. The Catholic Church later declared the phenomena worthy of belief, although belief itself remains optional for the faithful. Laboratory testing identified the mysterious substances as genuine human blood, sweat, and tears, with different blood types reportedly present in separate samples. Skeptics remain unconvinced, while supporters see something far beyond coincidence. It's strange, isn't it? Number 5. Lost wax amulet of Mehrgarh fire can destroy almost anything. Thousands of years ago, someone discovered it could also preserve an idea forever. That thought comes to mind when archaeologists talk about a tiny copper amulet recovered from Mehrgarh. It is easy to overlook because of its size, yet the way it was made tells a far bigger story than the object itself. Careful study showed it had been made with the lost wax casting method, a demanding process that begins with a wax model before molten copper replaces it inside a clay mold. That level of metalworking was once thought to belong to much later civilizations. Even more puzzling, no casting workshop, furnace, or even manufacturing area has ever been identified nearby to explain where such knowledge was practiced. The pendant also carries the marks of everyday use instead of ceremonial display, suggesting it traveled through someone's ordinary life before ending up beneath the earth. The owner and workshop vanished. Only the skill survived, waiting 6,000 years to be noticed again. Number 4. Ancient obsidian artifacts of Alberta. Well, at first sight, when you look at them, there doesn't seem to be anything unusual about a handful of ancient arrowheads. Then you discover what they were made from, and the whole story changes. Across several archaeological sites in Alberta, researchers recovered spear points and cutting tools fashioned from obsidian, a naturally formed volcanic glass prized for its razor-sharp edges. The mystery begins with Alberta itself. There are no active volcanoes capable of producing obsidian, and no natural deposits have been found there. That means every single piece had to arrive from somewhere else. By comparing the stone's chemical fingerprint with known volcanic sources, archaeologists traced many artifacts to regions hundreds, and sometimes even thousands of miles away. Those results paint a very different picture of ancient North America. Rather than isolated groups living without contact, indigenous communities were connected through vast networks that carried valuable materials across great distances. These pieces of volcanic glass preserve something far greater than hunting tools. They preserve relationships, cooperation, and journeys stretching across an entire continent. Number 3. Udayagiri Cave's history has a way of hiding its greatest treasures in the most ordinary places. Near the city of Vidisha in India's Madhya Pradesh stands a quiet hillside containing 20 rock-cut chambers known as the Udayagiri Caves. They were carved during the early 5th century and preserve some of the oldest surviving religious artwork in the country. Their importance goes well beyond impressive carvings. Udayagiri is the only archaeological site directly connected through inscriptions to rulers of the powerful Gupta Empire, giving historians an unusually clear link to one of India's greatest dynasties. The best-known attraction is the towering relief of Vishnu as Varaha, lifting the earth from the cosmic ocean. But many scholars believe the inscriptions are just as valuable. They record the reigns of Chandragupta II and Kumaragupta I, offering rare historical evidence from that period. 19 caves reflect Hindu traditions, while the 20th belongs to Jainism and preserves the oldest known Jain inscription discovered anywhere. Local stories even speak of hidden passages beneath the hill, though none have ever been verified. Number 2. The mysterious spheres. Every scientific timeline is built from evidence, but sometimes a discovery appears that seems determined to test those carefully assembled pieces. Few examples have inspired more debate than the tiny metallic spheres recovered from ancient rock deposits near Ottersdal. Resting inside formations estimated at 2.8 billion years old, these unusual objects measured only about an inch across, but their appearance sparked decades of speculation. Several displayed 3 neat grooves running around their middle with surprising consistency, while others were solid or contained a soft white material inside. To many observers, they seemed too symmetrical to have formed naturally. That impression quickly fueled claims of forgotten civilizations or impossible technology. Geologists, however, generally identify them as naturally formed concretions produced through mineral processes over immense stretches of geological time. Even with that explanation, the spheres continue attracting curiosity because their appearance feels deliberate. Number 1. Sweno stone. The Picts ruled large parts of ancient Scotland, yet they remain among Europe's most elusive civilizations. They left behind magnificent monuments but almost no written history explaining who they were or what they believed. Because of that silence, every surviving stone carries unusual importance. None is more impressive than Sweno's stone near Forres, rising roughly 21 feet into the Scottish sky. Believed to have been raised sometime between AD 850 and 900, it stands as the largest surviving Pictish cross slab ever discovered. Weather has softened many of its carvings, although powerful scenes still emerge from the stone. One side appears to portray a royal ceremony, while another captures warriors locked in fierce combat beside rows of fallen enemies. Whether those images commemorate a real victory, honor a lost king, or preserve a symbolic story remains uncertain. Ironically, most written descriptions of the Picts came from Roman authors who dismissed them as uncivilized tribes. So, who knows what the actual story is? If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.